tough questions. I'll start with the last one because there's a particular story, and I won't mention names. There's a particular story that I've been monitoring in KZN when it comes to a particular radio station that gets government funding. And there's an allegation that there's a particular politician that's threatened to pull the advertising from this radio station, and it had an impact on one of their talents, and they were apparently let go. Of course, their activities, you can have and make an argument about their activities and whether they bring the organization into disrepute. But the main thing for me in that story was how now, and it's an old thing, but now it's more pronounced, how government officials, especially in provinces where we may not be paying attention to news, or rather, there's a lot of pressure. So remember when I spoke about the environment, the political environment, there are people who are under pressure now. So now they're threatening community and local radio stations to pull government funding, which a lot of them are relying on to keep the lights on, to sort of bulldoze their way to get coverage, to say this is not the right angle to take. And if you don't adjust it, then we will reconsider where we place our advertising. It's a very difficult thing because editors, or rather, yeah, editors do have to consider external stakeholders, but also making sure that they're telling the truth. That's their responsibility. Especially community radio stations, they're so important. They're more important than us mainstream, in my opinion, because that's where the real stories are. We sometimes get parachuted in and out of places, so we don't know the characters and who's been doing what, but communities know, and that's what community radio stations do. What should happen? Again, it's having honest management. I've been very fortunate, I must say, that I've had managers who are real journalists. And when I say real journalists, they understand the role that they play, not just in the organization, but the role of journalism in society, and how there's a lot of reliance on us to tell the truth so that people make the right decisions. I entered the newsroom and I was told that I must rely a lot on my gut. It might sound like stupid advice, but it's actually some of the best advice. Say, what does your gut tell you about the story and the approach? In 2026, if I were a lecturer, my advice would be, in journalism today, it's not about the what, it's the how. So we're all chasing the same stories, but how you package the content is what will differentiate you. We could all be in the same media briefing, but if you know the what, and the what is informed by many things, of course, the audience that you're speaking to, it's informed by the magnitude of the issue that you might be covering. That is what will set you apart. But also learning that this is an ever-changing environment, and you can't close yourself off. You can't say, well, I'm good at print and I'll just stay in print. I'll never explore broadcasting, or vice versa. It's just not how the world works anymore. There's a lot of intersectionality that you need to consider, but always constantly upskilling yourself. I have a controversial view. I'm like, if you want to do journalism, don't study journalism, actually. Study something else. Go do economics and then learn how to do the writing of journalism in the newsroom. If you get into a newsroom that is robust and that will assist you with those skills. I think that's what's actually helped me. I never did the journalism. I did my politics and international relations, and that's been my foundation, because I know about research methodology, and that informs how I approach stories, that I must be balanced. That's what you also learn when you're doing research, right? Etymology, all those things, when we go out there and do the qualitative and the quantitative research. So there are some principles that are very similar to journalism that you learn in studying social sciences. It's a very difficult one, what you tell these guys. Also, don't rush your career. I think a lot of young journalists want to be famous, and I don't understand why. I don't understand what the fascination is about being famous. because I always say, I mean, when that's why I was a bit uncomfortable when Antoinette said I've made it, because I don't believe I'm a public good. I do my work in the public, but I'm not a public good. That's what entertainers do. They are a public good. They are there to be consumed as individuals. I just do my work in the public. So that's why I really like to talk about myself. And it's the old adage: the journalist is not supposed to become the story, precisely because of the the core of the principle, I guess. But the last question you ask is a very tricky one, because it's happening a lot. I think in communities, especially smaller ones, like smaller radio stations in far-flung areas where they really need to be telling the truth and the reality of what's happening. But the environment is very tense. And I think some managers, they cower to that. I just don't believe in cowering to power. I'm anti-establishment generally, my disposition. So sometimes it's a personal, it's your personal politics, and we are going to in society resetting and us reestablishing our rules of engagement are going to have to figure out how we keep certain things alive and how we inculcate that in the younger generation.